All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Spring 2023 Capstone Learning Goal podcast. My name is Leo Baca. I'm here with Matt Burkhart, another current Capstone student, as well as Jackson Shep, who completed his Capstone semester last fall in the fall of 2022. So we're just going to get started by doing a quick introduction of each of our learning goals and sharing some of the key takeaways and strategies that we used to achieve them, and also possibly discuss some of the lessons that we'll take forward into the future. So Matthew, would you like to get us started?
Yeah. So my learning goal for this capstone semester was determining the type of law that I would like to practice in the future. And to explore this goal, I did several things. I listened to podcasts, I watched YouTube videos, I read articles, and I spoke with current lawyers. And I found that speaking with current lawyers was actually the most effective of my methods. Um, I thought it was so effective because I learned a lot about the types of law that these lawyers practice and the journey that they went through to become a professional. I thought something that was very interesting was how much debt that the lawyers took out to actually finance their legal education and how that debt has impacted what they're able to do. I learned a lot about public service loan forgiveness and school specific loan repayment assistance plans, which public interest lawyers primarily use. And the two lawyers that I spoke to, they originally had plans to become public interest lawyers right after graduation, but when they were faced with the massive amount of debt from financing their legal education, they decided to segue into big law before actually going into the smaller public interest firms, which they're more interested in. And I thought that was a really interesting take because a lot of the times people who are interested in public interest law and big law are very different people. But what I learned was that you kind of have to make some sacrifices. And I think that's something that I'll probably have to do going forward in my legal career as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jax. Do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about your learning goal that you worked on in the fall?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I worked for the Kirkland Company, which is a commercial real estate brokerage firm, not to be mistaken with the Kirkland Company. That's the food distributor. And basically, I was I guess it's you could call me an acquisitions analyst, a broker, analyst, whatever you want. And so my job was to just facilitate transactions, do market research, financial analysis on all things related to multifamily, which is apartment complexes that are 10 units or above, ranging all the way up to sometimes 500 plus units. The Kirkland Company focused mainly on the Southeast from Indiana and Kentucky all the way down to Florida and everything east of Texas. So Louisiana, Alabama, all that fun stuff. And so my learning goal coincided directly with my position at the firm, and it was just to learn how to understand and analyze a multifamily property. This is done in a few ways. First, it's done financially, right? I learned how to start at the very top, take my gross potential revenue, subtract out vacancies, get down to income, take out more expenses, and get all the way down to that bottom line net income before um, debt service and amortization and all that kind of stuff. So the way I learned this is in a variety of ways. First, I watched a ton of YouTube videos, probably 100 hours worth of YouTube videos, specifically one account called Break Into CRE, which is everything from like what I just said, debt scheduling to capital stack to just understanding the macro trends of the market. So that was fantastic. I had weekly interviews and check-ins with my coworkers who were brokers and my overseer, who was the COO, excuse me, Jake Higgins. And then lastly, they were kind enough to provide me with a ton of case studies of past properties, so I could go in, I could model it out, do my market research, and try to come to financial, the financial terms of what it ended up selling, if that makes sense. So that was my project, and I learned a lot. And going forward, it helped propel me into the commercial real estate world. And now I'll be working full time in the commercial real estate world. So it's valuable information that I wouldn't have been able to learn without the help of Capstone.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really interesting, and glad that some of the stuff you were able to learn is going to help you in the future as well. So I'll share a little bit more about my learning goal for the semester. It's a little less career exploration focused, I think, like your guys's was, and it's like more work-life balance oriented. So the goal itself was to learn how to mix in and balance healthy habits and practices in my lifestyle while also working a full-time job and obviously dealing with the obligations of Capstone as well. So a couple of my strategies that I used were employing a daily calendar. So I used Google Calendar. And I found that this was probably the most crucial strategy that I used to help me maintain my habits. I would have, for example, I'd have go to the gym listed out on the calendar. I'd have meditate listed out on the calendar, and then when I did that, I could go in and I'd change the color from blue to green, and then if I didn't do it at the end of the day, I'd change it to red. And it sounds a little elementary, but it's kind of just a good way to keep yourself accountable. And then at the end of the week, you can look back and see, oh yeah, there's a lot of green. I'm doing a good job, or oh yeah, there's a lot of red. I probably have to do a better job next week. So I did that, and I also try to communicate my intentions to do this to friends, family, my girlfriend, just so that there was another extra added layer of accountability on top of the calendar and on top of the accountability I had to myself, just so that they were like, oh yeah, like you haven't done this or you haven't done that, and they could kind of help nudge me in the right direction, which I definitely needed sometimes. And I'd say that while I definitely have a long way to go, like some of these strategies and just being aware and cognizant of trying to make improvements did help me make a lot of progress and work some of these good healthy habits into my routine to the point where I feel a little more comfortable now that I'm headed into a full-time job next year. I have a little bit more confidence that I'll be able to maintain some good habits in my life post-grad as well. So with that, I was kind of wondering, this is a question for both of you. Matthew, you're obviously doing a 40-hour a week or however often you work job this semester, and Jax, you got that experience last semester. What strategies have you guys used to keep yourself accountable to, eating healthy, maintaining your, physical, mental health?
Yeah, so for me, I think the main thing has just been getting on a schedule. So like in the mornings, I'll wake up at 7, I'll go work out, eat some breakfast, take a shower, then get ready for my day. I think building consistency into your schedule is really crucial because once you start doing that for a week at a time, or maybe several weeks, it just feels normal. It doesn't feel like something you have to go out of your way to do. And I think that's really been key for me this semester.
Great. Jax?
Yeah. I do a few things. I think it's important to note that when trying to like develop these habits, motivation in the short run is easy, but discipline in the long run is extremely difficult. So like you were talking about, Leo, anything with consistency and accountability has been huge for me. So when I set my goals, like the first one that I used over the course of the last few years is go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, which is easy to do with alarms and stuff like that. But let's say I'm eating healthy, intermittent fasting, I'm working out, trying to drink more water, whatever it may be. I tell as many people as I can, in my direct bubble. So I tell my parents, my siblings, my girlfriend, even you guys sometimes. And I do that so they'll be able to see if I fail. And it's a little bit embarrassing if I do. It happens every once in a while, but I think telling people and having those accountability partners really keeps you motivated and keeps the pressure on you a little bit. So I do that. And then secondly, I set a ton of reminders that they recur either weekly or daily, depending on what it is. If it's meditation, if it's, I want to go outside and get 15 minutes of sunlight, whatever it may be. I try to implement those daily or weekly to keep me on track and try to develop those good habits.
Nice. It seems like we're all kind of in agreement that we've used the Capstone semester as kind of a dry run for real life. And I've kind of noticed that in a lot of my conversations with people in my cohort and other HOD majors that have done Capstone, as well as they see it as like a really unique opportunity to try new things with like relatively low risks. So, whether that's trying out a style of law like Matthew's doing, or, trying out a niche sector of the real estate industry like Jax is kind of doing, or, me trying to really go for the shoot for the moon with, implementing healthy habits. It's a great opportunity to do that. So I'm glad that we've all had this opportunity. And does anybody have any parting thoughts? None?
I think you covered it great.
Great. All right. Well, thank you to whoever's out there listening. And yeah. All right.